And ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Welcome to the cat fun. Oh, there's a leg in the air in the background. I didn't notice that.
Somebody's being very ladylike. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 566 of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul Lee Cooley, and joining me today is productive Terry Mixon. What do you produce, Mr. Mixon, apart from flatulence and crankiness?
Well, first I want to say, this all seems so familiar.
This does
It's
seem
like a
so
deja
familiar.
vu moment.
In case you were wondering why we didn't have an episode last week, we were using StreamYard, and I think the moron behind the keyboard did something wrong, and so his voice sounded like he was constantly speaking through a megaphone, so we ditched the episode.
I'm not sure it was StreamYard. I think it may have been your new soundboard.
It may have been the new soundboard interacting, or it may have been because I tried to record it on Firefox, or it could have been 1,000 other things. Who the hell knows? Bottom line is the episode.
Here's hoping this one lasts.
Let's hoping this one lasts. So anyway, as I was saying, how the hell are you and what have you been up to?
I've been writing like, as Samuel L. Jackson would say, an MF.
Like a mofo.
Exactly so.
And how does a mofo write?
In the last 15 days, I've written 75,000 words.
Holy shit. How?
I've been taking my handheld recorder and taking a couple of trips a day out through the neighborhood and dictating a scene on the way out and a scene on the way back. So I've been averaging out of that 15 days about 5,000 words a day. And 2 of those days I didn't do any writing.
Wow.
So it was actually closer to 6,000 words at a shot.
Wow. That's just wow.
We'll see how much effort it's going to take to clean it up, because I haven't even looked at the files other than cleaning out the grossest skips in there. If my brain goes blank, I tell it to skip 3 lines. And so when I get back, I can easily clear out the part that I didn't want to have there.
Right.
But the rest of it, there's no telling how bad it is.
How much longer do you think you have to go to finish the book?
I finished it yesterday.
You were done with the book. Okay.
I'm done with the book, and today I spent editing the first 2 chapters.
And what is the length of said book thus far?
Over 100,000 words, and that's all your fault.
Yes, patrons, listeners, and viewers, Terry messaged me last night to tell me of his wonderful accomplishment and blame me for the fact that he has learned how to cross the 100K barrier.
And your answer was yes and fuck you.
You were supposed to say, and your answer is, you bring up your phone, and I quote.
I don't have it handy, but that's what you said.
Yeah, I was in a particular Starkey mood. I was not having a good day yesterday. I haven't had a good day in several days.
You know, we've known each other long enough to where you cursing me, yeah, that doesn't have the same effect it would have on doing it to somebody else anymore.
No, because you know exactly what I meant by that.
It's Oscar the Grouch talking to me. Of course he doesn't really mean it.
I was basically, it was my way of saying, I'm jealous.
I'm jealous.
You son of a bitch. But see, saying F you is much shorter.
The meaning gets across just fine.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
But it's actually quite freeing to be able to walk and do that, because once you get halfway out, well, you might as well record on the way back, because you got to walk back anyway.
This is true. It's
and
not like there's much.
That's like 3 miles of walking in a day, not counting my going to the gym to walk for another hour and listen to an audiobook.
Holy crap.
So I've been like walking 5 miles a day while I was recording that.
How much weight are you losing?
We'll see. I've been eating more than I should have too.
Well, that kind of goes along with the exercise, but also the holiday season. So
it's not. I'm not counting. I'm not going to be looking at my weight until I'm all done with the holidays.
So this is going to be like your word count, right? We're just going to let it. I think it's there.
We're not going to put my weight count. We're just going to look at my word count.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got that over with.
You know, and the way this normally works is one of us is productive, the other one isn't. So How badly behind are you in words put to paper?
Oh, we don't even want to talk about that. I guess I've gotten 2,000, 2,500 words maybe
That's not bad.
since last time we talked, and then I'd gotten, I don't know, 3 or 4,000. This was supposed to be my week to chill and
How's
work
that going
on
for you?
writing and catch up on the podcasts and get Trident recorded, at least part of it. Yeah. So let's see. Paul gets pneumonia. Then Paul has there's massive job crazy going on. Soundboard fucks up, fixed soundboard, computer okay. Have to throw away the episode after editing it, trying to save it for hours on end. Wife crashes car, have to go get a new car, and stuff
All
dealing
you need
with
now is to
family.
have a UFO crash into your house.
Yeah, UFO crashing into my house after I take it down with a Barrett 50 caliber. Yeah. State Farm ain't never gonna believe this.
I just thought it was a drone I was shooting down.
Terry did it. Oh yeah, because that's better.
Well, how many people do you read in the news doing exactly that?
Yeah, but they're using shotguns, not a Barrett goddamn 50 caliber.
Well, not that we know of.
Well, how many miles does that round travel? If you shot it on a parabolic arc, would it land somewhere in Arkansas?
I don't know about that particular round. I know that, long range snipers have shot and hit targets at miles.
Yeah, miles. So yeah, you fire it here and it takes off and hits somebody in Arkansas. Good job. Anyway, yeah. So I got 300 words today at lunch before I had to get back into doing stuff and taking care of things. So
I extend to you the invitation again to run one of your test files through Dragon Naturally Speaking if you want to go walk and record something.
Yeah, that would require me to walk and record something.
Who knows? It might work for you too.
I know. I just got to try it. Anyway, that's more or less what's been going on. Lots of heartache, hopelessness, futility,
gloom, despair, and agony on me. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me.
Let's never do that again.
We're gonna do this every time it strikes my urge to do so. I blame hee haw.
Oh, great. Yeah, we had a hee haw moment. On that note, as a matter of fact, we have an episode for you. It's called Cultural Mirrors and Amish Porn.
What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know. Let's find out. That brings up an interesting question. Probably not topic worthy, but an interesting question. We sort of talked about this before, but where's the line, man? So if I write a science fiction story and I spend, I don't know, 20, 30 pages on sex scenes, 20 to 50 pages, they're pretty explicit and the whole 9 yards rock and roll. And the rest of the story is just not that. Is it completely out of place?
It depends on
I knew that was coming.
Well, the reason I say that is if you put it in something like science fiction, you're going to run into a lot of audience members that are not going to be happy that it's there. If it's a romance story, you're going to find the majority of the audience doesn't care or they approve. It's been very common in romance for many, many years to have those hot and spicy scenes in them. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a spicy romance. Maybe that's the term I was thinking of. Who knows? Spicy. Although it's not a romance. It's a murder mystery with some romance and spice thrown in.
Okay, fine. But let's talk about urban fantasy, for instance.
There's occasionally some sex in those. And if you're the appropriate author, there might be a lot of sex in it. At least one author, what was it? Laurel K.
Oh,
Hamilton?
Laurel K. Hamilton, yeah.
She put a lot lot of sex in those, to the point to where the sex overwhelmed the story. I personally don't recommend you go quite that far, but there was occasionally there's some urban fantasy in with your erotica with those particular stories.
Okay, so then again, where's the line?
It's There's no hard and fast line, other than the fact that you're going to find that the mainstream audience is resistive to having explicit content.
I don't know what it is. I only know what it is when I see it.
In a lot of ways, sure, that's exactly right. You're going to find that if you don't close that door when somebody's getting it on, in a lot of genres, you're going to get some serious pushback from your readers.
I don't spend a whole lot of time. Well, I spend a lot more time in the bedroom of the Garaga stuff for obvious reasons. I mean, you're basically succubi and incubi. Hello. But my other works, I pretty much shut the door, leave it up to the imagination. But it's not because I'm afraid to go there, because I have, and it's not a problem. It's because I don't feel like it belongs in that story. Right?
Yeah, I can see that. Lit RPG, there's a segment of that has harem fantasy stuff in there that does have explicit content, and some harem fantasy that doesn't actually get into the bedroom, but it's common enough to where it's, at least to a good cross section of the audience, it's acceptable. A lot of people complain about it. They don't want to see any of the sexy stuff.
Well, I find this funny because you watch some of these shows that are on HBO or any of the cable shows, shit, probably even the networks nowadays. They can have some pretty crazy sex scenes in them.
Yeah. Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. We're not even gonna get me started on that one. And so much of it was unnecessary, except
that's Game of Thrones right there.
It was like, oh, this is a really great scene. It would make a fantastic porno. What the fuck is it doing here?
With Game of Thrones, it was, do you like a little bit of sex with your violence?
Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was fine for the first couple seasons. It's just, and I get why it's there. They
were using it for shock value.
But not just that though. I think if you go and look at the characters and you see how they approach sex, that is reflected in exactly how they treat other people in that story.
Yeah. It starts off in that first book with the brother and sister. They're a little too friendly, if you know what I mean.
In my mind, the way they treat each other, or the way they treat their lovers, and their attitude toward intimacy and sex describes every single character in that book perfectly.
I can totally agree with that sentiment. I wonder how many people were turned off by that aspect of Game of Thrones.
I heard more complaints about the violence than I did the sex.
Well, like I said earlier, a little bit of sex with your violence. There was a ton of violence. And the big complaint with it is, if you had any feelings for the characters at all, anytime you start liking somebody, they were bound to die.
Yeah.
Unless they were a dwarf. In which case, they skated through.
You can't kill Tyrion. It takes nukes, and they didn't have those back then. You can't kill him. He's just alcohol. He's just walking alcohol. That's why he's so short.
I wonder what kind of roles he's going to move on to after this, because if anything could possibly typecast a person, that would be it.
Oh, but it was no, he did all these dramatic things in theater before Game of Thrones.
There are a lot of actors that, they have a wide career, and then they'll do some epic role and they just cannot escape that role.
Yeah. I think he's one of those folks who can, because we'll see.
Did you see the movie?
He's short. He can escape easily.
Oh, this may be true. There was a movie where aliens are invading, and it was an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, something about Pixel. Yeah, he was in that.
Did you see that?
No, fuck no.
It was actually really amusing, and his character in it was pretty damn fun.
I saw some of the outtakes or whatever of him on that set, and it looked like just absolute pandemonium. going on. So
I completely and utterly believe this to be true. It was a funny movie. I'm not a fan of Adam Sandler, but I liked that movie.
hmm, hmm, hmm. I
Taste
don't
being what it is.
trust your taste at all.
Oh, sure. My taste is totally questionable. I buy
Oh,
that.
absolutely. It absolutely is. It's all your fault, man. Just want to throw that out there.
My shoulders are strong enough to take that.
Hey, my voice is warming up finally. I may have to go
You
get more
feeling it? Are
tea.
you feeling any better?
Oh yeah. I'm able to like stay up for a whole 10 hours now without, crashing at least 3 times.
I dread asking this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How goes word on the robot?
We're still waiting. And I still need to finish the software, which always needs to be finished because every time I turn around, there's something else that it would be nice to have.
Well, don't worry about it. I'm sure that early next week they'll send you a note that they want to see something by Christmas.
That's probably how this will work. And I'll be like, oh my God, I'm back in the hospital. Get fucked. Order a laptop from System 76 and get to work.
System 76. Don't believe I've ever heard of it.
They specialize in making Linux hardware.
Okay.
They're out of Boulder, Colorado, and they are security paranoia nutcases.
Good for them.
Exactly. So they're so much so that they have their own layer on top of Ubuntu called Pop OS, which was designed for developers. So the entire company is designing all this stuff for developers because that's what they are, as developers. So it's all heavy Unix, and all the drivers and everything else are good. The hardware looks excellent. It's not a bunch of crap.
Sounds like you
So
need to, step out to it right now.
it's only going to be $2,700 for the laptop.
Pocket change for a big time author like you.
What is this big time author thing of which you speak? What is that exactly?
I seem to remember you being a best selling author,
Yeah, whatever that means.
whatever that means.
Last best selling author I read, it was just like, this is a hunk of shit. Can't remember the name of the book now. Like cardboard characters, and the story was just to prove a point about some goddamn research paper he wrote when he was 18. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, sometimes you just feel the need to write a story about something that has caught on to your imagination for whatever reason.
Yeah,
Whether it's a paper when you're 18 or something else.
my problem wasn't with that. My problem was the characters were so fucking cardboard. And the audiobook is like 8 or 9 hours, I think. But really, it stops at around hour 7, because after that, it is nothing but appendices and research discussions. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, please, no.
Yeah.
I was having wasn't last night, it was maybe the night before.
Late last night.
I was thinking about oh God, I've totally forgot the name of the damn series that was on Netflix that I recommended to you. The one with the little discs that they insert into your neck, and that contains your personality.
Altered Carbon.
Altered Carbon. I was thinking about Altered Carbon because I was looking at what shows were coming out, and I saw
Season 2.
Season 2 is on the horizon, though it doesn't actually have a date. It's probably going to end up being mid next year. And that started me thinking about how long lived those characters were. And in my head, I said, they've achieved functional immortality. And I suddenly sat back and said, there's a title for a book or a story right there. Functional immortality. What kind of story would I write for that title? And I came up with a world in which AIs existed, but humanity had died out. They were gone. They were long gone. And the AIs and the robots have functional immortality because they can replace everything in their bodies and re-upload themselves.
Correct.
And I started thinking that would make an interesting story. What would be the conflict? What if one of them decided to take human remains and clone a living human out of it?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Yep.
And so I made a page full of notes that I'll probably never write about doing something like that, because the idea that the whole 2-word title, functional immortality, came to mind, and I said,
I may fucking steal that from you, buddy.
go right ahead. Absolutely.
I already had an idea for this is so fucked up and twisted. After Derelict Saga and how that closes up, I already had an idea of a book for 50, 60 years in the future where something like that happens. And then the ramifications of that fucking craziness. Because why stop at recreating humanity when you can do one better?
Sure, absolutely. And believe me, that's in my notes as well. What type of gene edits could be made to add functionality? What would an AI consider what is essentially human? Because they don't know what it is to be human. They can look at the flawed packaging that a human comes in and says, perhaps this can be improved. And I was thinking of all of that. By all means, rock on, but I do not release the idea that I may write something very similar at some point in the future.
Shit, no.
Our stories would be even if we wrote the same story, they would be nowhere near identical. I don't care. Rock on about it, and I will do the same.
No, your AIs are bound to be dumber than mine.
Why do I feel the need to go ahead and make AIs that are actually like rednecks? I think I need to have redneck AIs.
You know what terrifies me is I had that same goddamn thought after I said that. It was like hillbilly AIs, and I don't know where it came from.
Well, there was that novel that we listened to where the 2 high-brain scientists in their bunker were rednecks. You remember that story? It was a couple of years ago. Maybe longer than that. My telling of time is bad. I don't remember the title of the novel, but it was some type of conspiracy theory rednecks in their bunker.
I don't even remember this.
It took place, trust me. But they've stuck in my mind. They were secondary characters, but they're the ones that stuck in my mind.
I think there's something to be said for chimpanzees who know how to use power tools. As New Model Arby said, we're just monkeys with technology, barely out of the caves and the trees. And it's so goddamn true. It's so goddamn true. So what happens when you take away all the sophisticated tools? What do we know how to do? Bang on shit. That's basically what we know how to do.
Sure.
At the end of the day, all we're capable of really doing is banging on shit. Everything started with banging on shit.
Try it now.
Just need some 3 and 10 and 1 oil there, maybe some 3 and on. Hey, gotta have some spichers.
Some what?
Spichers.
What are those?
I have no idea, but you gotta have them.
Duct tape. That's all you really need. Duct tape.
Grab the duck, grab the tape. It's all be good.
You ever notice that you can stick anything with duct tape except ducks?
I've never tried to stick a duck.
Not duck. Duct with a T at the end. It's
the hell
duct,
is that?
It's duct tape.
Is it also ductation?
No, that's dictation. Totally different genre. You're talking erotica now.
Yeah. It's more than I can handle at the moment. All right, so where were we? Okay.
I don't know. You were busy running around with the whole idea of monkeys beating things.
Okay, so imagine, all right, we just had this lexical ambiguity going on here, a mispronunciation on purpose and not. Imagine if you only could hear and that was it. And whatever the words come from. Okay, like for instance, you and your when you're dictating to Dragon, right? You have errors. You have errors because you're pronouncing things in such a way that the computer doesn't expect you to, right?
Yep, all the time.
Okay, now imagine if all you have with your AIs were recordings.
Don't worry, our AIs have the internet. It'll be fine.
No. There's no internet. All they got is audio recordings. However,
no,
this
I meant
works.
how awful the internet was.
Oh.
Oh my God. Can you imagine that? We're going to recreate humanity. Let's research the internet.
Oh my God, it's full of porn.
Oh my God. What did you create? Hi there. Oh my gosh.
It's got 17 breasts, 3 penises, and 4 vaginas. Oh my God. Just no.
It's like having the cloned human try to walk and have to nickname him Tripod or something.
Because it's misunderstanding of context, it's misunderstanding of this being normal, as in everybody's into this, as in this is the way it all works for everybody, right? No.
We will now teach the human about sex. Oh, hello. Oh boy, here we go.
See, we can write pornos. It's not that difficult, apparently.
Anyone can write pornos. Anyone. There's probably Amish pornos. God.
Amish porn.
I absolutely do not want to go
Amish
ahead.
porn.
Oh gosh.
Amish porn.
I have not searched this on the internet. I do not recommend that anyone search for this on the internet. I have no idea what you will find, but it will not be good. Rule 39. It will not be good.
Elijah's really into butter churning.
Just think, you brought this up. This is your fault.
Amish porn. Oh my God. This goes with the Amish. Okay, let's just face it. You and I are going to have to team up to do.
Oh, Jebediah.
Team up was the wrong word. We're going to have to collaborate on the Amish zombie apocalypse book.
We already threatened to do this.
And then right after that, or maybe while we're doing that, we'll have to write the script for an Amish porn movie.
Oh boy. Wow.
Dude, think of the kinks, man. Think of the kinks.
It's those people with beards. Yeah.
Oh. I hadn't even thought of that, actually. Yeah, we're going to have to discuss this off show because, wow, this got scary in a moment, and I'm not going to share it with anybody but you.
I got nothing to say to that.
I'm guessing the Amish zombie apocalypse thing is still a go. We're kind of iffy on the porno. Is that what I'm getting out of this?
I think that's totally what you're getting out of this. While we could write a porno, we probably should not write a porno.
We probably shouldn't write a porno. We probably shouldn't be allowed to write a porno. Everybody like, oh, Cooley's on there. What horrible thing happens? Mixon's on there. Does it have ooh, but it could.
It's got attachments.
Okay. I'll let that one go for now. Forever, in fact. Anyway, yes, the brainstorming part of this is kind of cool because imagine from their point of view about the kinds of experiments they should run to learn something. Or even going into the observations they have made. That's why it's really dumb to have two androids sitting next to one another talking, because it'd be far more expedient for them to communicate in another language, binary or whatever else. But the idea of two androids sitting next to one another and having a conversation and trying to basically discuss humanity in that way by basically detailing and comparing observations and making snap decisions there. That just sounds like a comedy to me.
It does. It sounds like it would be hilarious because you could explore what they think is going to be a logical solution and then take something like a source of being the internet and come up with something that's completely and utterly ludicrous, but seems logical to them.
It sounds like a one-act play or like a 10-minute skit. It sounds like a really good short story idea. But I can totally hear this in my head, which is always just
One of the things that I think might be interesting in a story like that is, unlike human beings, if say AI is developed I think what they consider as logical will be more constrained than what human beings do. If you look at the spectrum of humanity, you're going to find people with beliefs that fall outside of what many people would consider sanity. It's a spectrum. You're going to have crazy people that you can't even imagine how they developed into whatever craziness they've got going on. But sanity is kind of a shared reality sort of thing. We all agree on what's sanity, but it's kind of an objective sort of thing.
Yeah, of course it's subjective. We all agree that there's going to be this reality thing where we can actually cohabitate and exist and get shit done.
With AIs, you might have the same base source code, and their range of sanity may be different than ours. What they consider as reasonable may be more constrained.
La 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 la.
Oopsie.
La 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 la. Or they may focus on one particular portion of that spectrum.
Could be. Imagine, though, that if humanity is being overseen by AIs, if somebody is outside the range of what an AI considers functional, that experiment may be terminated.
Or they could be moved. Here's where all the rejects go.
Ooh.
For further observation and experimentation.
Would you basically clump the same kind of rejects together?
Yes.
Would you have like a colony of schizophrenics?
Oh my God. I think you'd also need a control group.
Oh my God.
Basically,
oh my God.
you basically mix folks with severe mental issues along with folks who are completely and totally sane.
I absolutely want to see a control group made up of nothing but narcissists. I completely and utterly want to see a whole room full of people that are narcissists locked in together, just them, no one else.
It wouldn't last long. It would not last long. There would be blood so fast.
One mirror only one.
No, because everybody would think the experiment was about them.
You know, you're absolutely right.
So it'd be paranoia because you don't know what these other people are doing, experimenting on you
They're
for.
obviously there to sabotage you.
Or kill you.
Well, killing is a kind of sabotage, don't you think?
I think killing's a little more final than sabotage. Sabotage is an act which you can die as a result from. You don't necessarily.
I think that would be a relatively short story, I believe. It wouldn't end well.
No, it's not going to end well for anyone involved. Oh God. I find that just so interesting because you can, literally hold up the mirror to humanity and say, this is the stupid shit that we do every single day. And we should be saying something about it to one another, going, look how stupid this shit is. Can't we just, cut it the fuck out? But
that
we just don't even realize
does not work.
No,
that obviously does not work.
And yet,
while we don't want to bring too much of what's going on in the world, and specifically the United States right now, it is proof that people can live side by side and not be in the same world.
No, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
I read an article that it talked about society the way it is now, and it said that the two groups that are the major political groupings really do live in different worlds. They really do see things differently. And as things go further and further along, they're becoming more concentrated. And that's probably not a good thing.
No, not really. It isn't.
But it's an interesting experiment that, gosh, I wish I wasn't a part of.
The American culture, as if we have such a thing, that's not a cut down. It's just the fucking truth. We don't have a culture. Our culture is theft. That's what we're good at, apparently.
How dare you accuse us of theft?
For fuck's sake. But one of the you totally ruined my point I was going for. Americans have become obsessed with all or nothing.
Victory or death.
And that doesn't work.
No. Compromise is important.
And the other thing is everybody's become single issue, which also doesn't work.
No.
So
here's the deal.
Wake the fuck up already.
Here's the deal, Americans. Sometimes you just don't get your way. Sometimes you got to compromise, and sometimes that means that you don't get your way.
Not everybody
Sorry.
gets what they want. That's not the way it works. Anyway,
that's way too far into real world. Let's get back to fiction.
Be that as it may, you just brought up another interesting point, which is today is AI Day. Is that basically what the deal is here?
Apparently, that's where we're going.
Aliens or AIs being able to look at what's going on. When you talked about being ruled, overlord, right? Mm-hmm. Scott Sigler's Galactic Football League books, The Big Bad Aliens, brought back football as a way to get the species to try and the various species they conquered to try and learn how to cooperate and play together and have something in common. That's why they let football become what it became in those books, because it was kind of used as a cultural touchstone for all the different races of aliens and whatnot. It's so easy to see from that standpoint, if you flip it, what other things might the overlords, so to speak, decide to put in place to keep the populace happy? What other distractions could there be to put in place to keep them docile?
You remember watching The Matrix when it first came out?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, they've greenlit the next Matrix movie. So, obviously reboots are the thing. Here we go. We're going to have more of that. But when it came out, the Agent Smith told Neo that when the computers first started doing this, they created a world in which it was perfect harmony and peace, a utopia. And basically everyone went crazy and died, and it just didn't work for humanity. They had to make something more messy so humanity could thrive within it, because they just didn't buy the whole utopia thing.
Yeah, we can't even our brains, when exposed to no external stimulus, no, that's bullshit.
So I think that was, when I heard that the first time, I laughed, and then I thought about it, and then I laughed a little bit more and said, God, that's so true.
It is. We can't help but get in our own way. I mean,
we are our own worst enemies.
Exactly. If there isn't a crisis, we'll manufacture one. We're good at it. We're really good at it. As a species, we're really, really good at it. Regardless, the point is that you have all of those places where you can play with it. When we're talking about alien races or AIs or anything else. It's fun. It's just fun to have those what if moments and go, oh my God, there's a story there, or there's a character there.
There is a trio of books by Reich Spoor that I've liked. He calls it his Arenaverse. And basically, when humanity finally achieves light speed, they discover that their world is that the universe they're seeing is basically a cage. That when you go to light speed, you don't go to another star system, you go to another dimension. And inside that dimension, things are ruled by the arena. They guess an artificial intelligence, but it's been around so long that all of the alien races that have achieved light speed are involved with this. But if I remember correctly, none of them are the originals. None of them all the original races had died out long ago. These are just the newcomers. Even if you've been there 5 million years, there were still races that came before you. You don't really remember anything, and nobody knows anything about the AI other than what it chooses to reveal. It's a very interesting scenario to run. Who built it? Why did they build it? And what the hell is it doing?
Yeah, Peter F. Hamilton in Commonwealth. There's some kind of alien creature / starship that rescued all these doomed races from all these planets. The thing must be absolutely monumentally huge. I can't remember how big it was, but it was like it held something like over 750,000 sentient beings or something like that. Big ship. And it had just gone about exploring and gathering up these doomed races, plucking them, or people who just decided, hey, we'd like to live on you. And it just took them in. It's such an interesting idea for a living ark running around. But as you said, the longer that goes on, the more the cultures, the more the time is going to fade, the more the memories fade, the more the culture fades. Or fade maybe not be the right word, evolves. Morphs.
In Reich's books, the arena, the AI that's behind it, if it is an AI, has rules. It has what it will tolerate, what it will not tolerate. And a lot of the stories involve trying to find those cracks in between what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Loophole, yes. Oh, okay.
But they're not written down. They're not written down. You're going to have to find them all on your own and deal with the consequences if you cross the line.
Oh, no. So you don't even know what the rules are.
Humanity certainly didn't understand the rules when they arrived, hence a lot of their problems. I think that's actually a more fun way of doing that kind of story. If you arrive and you immediately breach some protocol and you're in trouble with somebody big and powerful, that puts a little fire under your ass at that point. So the story's going.
Yeah, it's like when you get called to a diplomatic dinner and you don't know that the apple is a sacred thing to them. So you just kind of grab one and start munching on it right in front of them. That's how galactic wars start.
If I remember correctly, almost immediately upon arrival, humanity offends one of the most powerful warlike races that's in existence.
Well,
who then promises to exterminate them, basically.
Glad to see nothing's changed. Glad to see we're just as like our old selves. Oh my God.
Oops. He wrote the 3 books with Bane, but he did a Kickstarter for the next book, and it funded. So I look forward to seeing where it goes from there.
I wonder why. Well, I'm not even gonna guess.
From what I remember him saying, the book did not, the trio did not financially make it to the point to where they would want to write more books with it. I suspect that when he publishes himself, he's going to find out that he's going to get a lot more money that way. And so I think that there'll be more of this particular series that comes along, but he has a job and he writes, so he's not a full-time writer.
Right.
So he's got to develop his time to what he wants to do. If you haven't read Grand Central Arena, I recommend it. It's space opera. It is way space opera.
Oh God.
If you've ever read any of E. Doc Smith's Skylark series, there is a character called Mark C. DeQueen, who is the bad guy in that. When I was reading book descriptions, I ran across that book and I read it, and he called the engineer Mark C. DeQueen. And I'm like, that is such an unusual name that my brain immediately lurched to a halt. And I said, what? It's actually a tribute to E. Doc Smith.
I figured. That's cool. Tribute. That's a bad word.
If you haven't read the series, I think that one may be, the first book may be free at the Baen Free Library. I haven't looked, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was. So even if it's not, you should get it because it's space opera and it's amazing.
Terry, you have a space opera problem.
No, I don't. I don't have a problem.
I can stop anytime I want. I can stop writing it. I can stop reading it.
I can absolutely stop anytime I want.
You're so full of shit. Oh my God, you're so full of shit. Listeners, can you smell it? Viewers, can you see it? Do you see that steam coming off him? I know I won't do it, but it'd be really funny if I added that effect right there.
You totally should. You should totally add that effect.
Oh God, I just don't have time for that shit. Anyway, wow, AIs, aliens, and now we've moved on to just space opera in general.
Well, space opera's got a lot of aliens and AIs.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I haven't actually looked to see in the market, so to speak, how many things are out there that deal with primarily with artificial intelligence or sentient intelligence as adversaries, so to speak. I don't even know how hot of a topic that is these days, outside of Terminator style stuff.
I just looked, and it is indeed available from the Bane Free Library. Free!
Right, now that you've blown out everybody's eardrums.
They didn't need those anyway.
Apparently not. Not in your estimation, anyway. Mainly because you're you.
In my opinion, a lot of what you read these days that is labeled as space opera is maybe not as pure as some of the original space opera.
No.
I think I may start a war here.
No. Did you really use the word pure?
That's right. I'm a purist.
Are you going to go out there and start slaughtering anybody who doesn't fit
No,
your level of purity?
Absolutely not. And I read plenty of stuff that goes all around the spectrum.
All right. So before I start throwing chairs at you and discussing how poor your vocabulary is and that you're conveying exactly not what you meant to convey, why don't you explain to me what your definition of pure space opera is?
It is undistilled adventure.
Undistilled adventure.
That's the way I'm going to phrase it. It means that the story rests upon a grand adventure that the characters are on, that it's almost unknowable in its scope of what they're doing. They're doing grand things.
It's an endless
taking grand
quest.
bets. Your actions will result in the death or life of humanity type stories on a grand scale.
Wow.
And a lot of modern space opera maybe isn't quite that grand in scale. It's more realistic. And when I say that, no, this is not a bad thing. Saying it's more realistic is not a negative thing. Are you looking to put me in a corner, man?
No, I'm not. I'm looking to understand what you mean when you said realistic. Explain.
Maybe an author thinks, if I write this story, people won't believe it because it seems unrealistic that, I'm writing about these characters that are literally fighting in grand arenas for the life and death of humanity.
Okay.
And they may say, maybe that's a little too far. Maybe that's a step too far. Back in the old days, they didn't care about it. They just wrote the damn stories.
There was no over the top.
There was no over the top. And so maybe that's what I mean. Maybe these stories, maybe by pure, I mean that they're a little bit over the top. And I like that. I like that in a story.
Again, focus group of one. Which is really not true in and of itself. Okay, I get you.
I'm sure that a lot of people agree with me on liking the old style of space opera, but they like the new stuff too, and so do I. So it's not meant to be a criticism. It's more like an homage to what I grew up reading.
It's nostalgia.
It's nostalgia. In a lot of ways, it is. And the books by Reich Spoor struck my nostalgia. It was just like what I remember those original stories being like. The sense of wonder was all over the place.
Okay. Good to know.
Now that you're smirking at me and laughing behind your mustache.
I can't. Do you have any idea what he's talking about? Shadow says no. He doesn't know what you're talking about either.
Shadow's smarter than both of us, so we'll go with what he said.
Of course, now he's trying to get into my tea. Do you mind? I'm so glad he's more involved in my life. I just wish he'd find other ways to do it.
This is a cat we're talking about.
This is a cat we're talking about.
They don't do things the way you want them to do them. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
So you're telling me people aren't writing your version or your flavor, preferred flavor or nostalgic
No.
flavor as
It's not
often?
it's not my preferred flavor, but I think
Okay.
that a lot of the modern space opera is one step removed from the level of wondrous nostalgia that I feel for the older works.
Okay. Too much worrying about providing explanation, not enough just put it out there.
Yeah. If you read a lot of the old space opera written back in I think the Skylark series was originally written back in the late 20s, early 30s. So it's almost 100 years old.
Jeez.
These stories, if you look at them and read them, they have elements that you are not going to like. They have elements of racism, they have elements of sexism, they have other things that are not acceptable in today's stories. Yet, if you look at the stories themselves, they are wildly imaginative. I read these things when I was 15, 16, younger than that, and they influenced what I love about stories. I don't like certain elements. I didn't like certain elements even back then, but I understood that I could put those pieces of the story aside and look at the rest of the story and say, what can I learn from this?
That shooting shit is fun.
The putting your weird science experiment with element X that will suddenly move you inertialessly without any gravity
Oh
and
my
have
God,
no
please.
science
No,
fiction.
please do not rattle off that fucking paragraph. I nearly had a conniption fit the first fucking time I read it. God damn, it was so awful. Jesus.
It was pretty awful, but when you're a kid and don't know anything about science, it's okay.
Oh no, it all sounds good. The trilithium in the Guba Snatchy.
You've been listening to Star Trek again, haven't you?
If you just take the farfafluken and put it in the dilithium Folgers, you'll all be good.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody go back and reread the old space opera.
You were
I
just making a
suspect
point.
I suspect if I go back and read it, I would be disappointed. But I remember the nostalgia of reading it, the sense of wonder that I got from those, and Reich's stories evoked that same sense of wonder.
Evoke. Such a wonderful word.
It's a very true word.
All right, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. Well, we babbled long enough.
I actually had a subject we were going to talk about, but we didn't quite, manage to escape talking about whatever came to mind.
Well, brainstorming plus discussion of cultural mirrors plus lots of laughs.
And writing erotica porn movies.
And writing Amish porn movies.
Amish porn movies, yes.
Now, if it was Amish science fiction porn, would that be like the ultimate? Would that be the grand poobah right there?
I don't know, man. We're gonna have to ask Jebediah.
Jebediah and Elijah, what do you think?
Ooh,
I don't
if
even know
if you're gonna have
like.
an Amish threesome, I think Jebediah and Elijah.
Who said anything about a threesome? Where did a threesome get in here?
This is erotica, man. It's a porn movie. We gotta have a threesome in there.
Look, it's okay to be in the stable, but the denizens of the stable do not need to be involved in this.
And don't forget, there has to be churning butter. God, I am gonna so look on the internet and see what that brings up, and I just dread what I'm gonna find.
Well, if you would like to tell us about Terry's search history shenanigans that you are now caught up in and why you've lost your job, your house, your spouse.
NSA, please erase my browsing history.
If only you could use the brain bleach. You can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can join us at the Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where lots of crazy happens on occasion, maybe. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast to see our ugly mugs. Why would you want to? We don't know. You can, of course, always visit deadrobotsociety.com for every episode that is out there. We have to thank our wonderful pod hoster who makes all 14 bazillion episodes available for your ear holes. And if you'd like to support us, you can join us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive benefits, including our Discord server. Yes, I said that aloud. Discord server. I'll be posting links for that if I haven't already.
Will we be talking about Amish erotica there? That's what I want to know.
I bet J.R. Handley's already created a channel for Amish erotica.
Oh my God, you may be right.
I may have to mod this one pretty closely. Did I forget anything?
I believe you forgot our $10 patrons.
Oh, $10 patrons. Well,
we have a few.
I was too busy thinking about the Amish porn thing, and I got all confused. And then my screensaver came on and really screwed me. And at $10 level, if you're a patron at $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Andrew Smallwood, J.D. Barker, Tony L. Joy, Veronica Jaguar, currently recording Contact This for J.R. Handley. Kelson, Isabel Cushy, Rick, I joined the Cliffhanger Ambassadors Club. Welcome. Shaw, that is. Lisa Slack, Nathan Cosby, Cheryl Winters, Tracy Bodine, Devin Lee, Drew Bernardi, Chris Winder, and the infamous, do I have to say his name? Yeah,
you do.
Yes, I do. J.R. Handley. Anyway, with that, I think we are out of here, folks. We're back on our normal schedule again, I hope.
We've got a live show coming up.
We got a live show coming up. I'll be posting stuff for that as well. In the meantime, behave yourselves. Have a good one.
Do not behave yourselves. Go nuts. Go wild.
Go wild. Okay. All right. I'm going to take the grumpy old man out and, make sure he gets his nap. So we'll see you next week, folks. Bye.
Bye-bye.